Welcome to everyone to webinar number 4. Today we will be showing EOS. EOS is one of the things we consider foundational, a foundational platform here within our system. What I mean by this is, at a very high level, it's the gateway to and a launching point to a number of future initiatives. The Hyperion Data Manager, which is our data interoperability engine and integration platform, is another example, as it allows for many of the current applications to be built on top of it. With EOS, it's much the same, but the sophistication of what it is far more varied. Whereas HDM is data, EOS is much more, as you'll see. So all of that being said, I'm not going to delve too deep into that thought, as this is going to be a live demo of it. So presenting today is Kevin D'Souza, our principal developer of the EOS system and our lead machine learning engineer and HCI expert. Kevin's been with us for a couple of years now, and aside from being an exceptional developer, he's managed to cause much debate in our ongoing Mac versus Windows arguments. He is also our chief Canadian on the team, but that's a topic for another day. Typically with these webinars, I only introduce the principal developers, but EOS is a bit of a special case. And due to that, I'd like to also acknowledge Scott Peony, our head of product. While he's integral to many of our projects, EOS is a bit different, as it's his original thought and conception from Scott's brain. I remember one day, a year or so ago, him coming up to me and telling me that he had this idea, but he wasn't sure about it. So after he told me the full picture, in my head, I was thinking, wow, this is going to be pretty game changing. So of course, making this work though is going to require some really, really significant development skill, as you're about to see, as it gets pretty complex. So that's enough from me. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to the purveyor of the North, Kevin D'Souza.
Thank you, Eric. Just give me one moment while I share my screen. There we go. So thank you again, Eric, for the introduction. And as Eric said, today I'm going to be presenting EOS, which is an application which shows multi-level data relationships and interactivity. Before we get started with this presentation today, I just kind of want to lay out the agenda just so you can kind of expect, so we can go over what we're going to be going over today. And that is, we're going to start with the overview. We're going to move on over into the purpose of EOS, then touch upon its key features, and give a demo of how those features work together in a testing environment. We're then going to move on over to the future enhancements, what's coming up next in the pipeline, and leave the round open for discussion. So to start, what is EOS? Well, in a basic sense, EOS builds upon existing knowledge graph applications with a keen focus on enhancing the interaction between users and their data. Well, how does this specifically set it apart from any other knowledge graph software? Well, other knowledge graph software can be clunky. It's easy to get lost in the graph and completely lose what you're looking for. And then when you do find what you want, you have to use or open an external app to really get any work done with that information. With EOS, we aim to solve this by allowing users to locate their data quickly and easily with AI-powered search features. When they do find it, provide actionable information with interactive and animated features so that the user can just perform whatever action they want to right in the web app. And then ensure entities stay updated in real time, all automatically without any user intervention. All of this while being on premise. So for the rest of my talk today, any of the features that you see on screen are all being done with EOS software. No other external software from any other vendors is being used. And this matters because it helps keep your data more secure, private, and it allows you to take control of your data. No external vendors needed. So now that we've kind of gone over EOS in a basic form and what it aims to offer, we can move on over to the interface and its key features, starting with the search bar. So as you can kind of see in the video in the little top portion of the screen there, this is the search bar. And the search bar is your primary method to help find and filter the graph to help find you find what you're looking for. This search bar uses generative AI, so you can think of something similar to how ChatGPT functions to automatically translate your searches into data queries. So the benefit of this system is that it's really just able to understand a wide range of questions. So in the video example, the user typed in department and server, but they actually spelt it really incorrectly, but the system was still able to understand what they meant and was automatically able to translate that into a query. So in the event that the system actually can't understand your query, a pop-up will appear as shown right here in the video, and it will actually ask you to define your query exactly. The AI then uses this query that you've manually built, along with your initial message that it did understand, to help train itself to be better at understanding your queries. All of this is done automatically without any user intervention. Moving on, we have the pop-up feature, and this system was kind of made to help enhance your interaction with the data on the graph after you found it. So as you can see on the video, whenever you click on a node, a curated pop-up will appear depending on the node type. So for example, if you open up a table field, something curated will pop up, or maybe when you open up a department node, maybe the map of where the department's located will appear. And if you open something like a server node, that'll be shown in the video in just 1 second, you'll pull some information like maybe whether or not the server's running, how much hard drive space do you have, is the server overloaded or not? And this is all being pulled in real time with server-side syncing. No user interventions needed for this data to be fed into EOS. But we recognize that there's use cases where it's helpful to actually have custom pop-ups. So for these use cases, we allow custom scripts to be written. So in the video, I'm replacing a existing pop-up with a custom one. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I just coded it to be a little aquarium demo, but it just shows how limitless this solution is, where you can place any sort of web app within the pop-up of a node, making it super easy to find and interact with the data right from EOS. In the future, we're planning on integrating a solution that allows you to create these pop-ups all without code. Then we have the layer feature, and this system was just created to help you sort through your data, or to kind of provide a story throughout it. So on the right side of the screen, you'll find a layer indicator, or we like to call it the stack. And these layers are a form of pre-made filters that highlight subsets of data on the graph. So let's say, for example, you have a specific filter that you open up EOS and you use very often. You can actually save that filter as a layer so that when you open up EOS, you can pull that query right back up without having to go search for it again or build it manually. Then we have the tracing feature, and the tracing feature allows you to visualize relationships between objects on the graph. So with that in mind, we have two variants of this feature. The trace from tool allows you to highlight entities that are connected to other objects. So as you can see in the video, when you click on a node, it highlights everything that's connected to it in some way or another. Then we have the trace between tool, and this allows you to click two nodes on the graph, and it will actually visualize the connection between these entities if it exists. So this is really useful to help you or to help inform you if two nodes on various parts of the graph are actually connected whatsoever, and it'll highlight that information for you. Then lastly, we have the details panel. So this panel provides extra functionality in all the tools for power users. So this kind of window can be opened from the bottom left, and when opened, for example, with the pointer tool, as shown in the video, it'll actually help provide you with a tabular breakdown of all the different objects in the graph. This makes it really easy to compare elements or even to highlight where elements are on the graph, which helps a lot for really cluttered graphs, as you can kind of see in this video. Moving over to the tracing tool, the pop-up then becomes a visualization of the trace details itself, and it's just another method to kind of visualize the tracing between nodes and what nodes are connected. And in the future, we're actually planning on offering an export for this tool to allow you to generate PDF files so that it's easily shareable with other users for these node paths. And then lastly, for the editing tool, we actually allow a bulk upload with this window so that you can populate your environment super quickly and easily without having to create or modify each node individually on the graph. So with all those features being said, we can move on over to a live demonstration of EOS and its features. And for that, I have this prep demo right here. It's important to keep in mind that this is using fake data. We kind of created or curated this fake genomics data set just to kind of demonstrate EOS and its features and how it works together, but none of the information you see here is real patient data whatsoever. So as you can kind of see, we have a variety of different data, and if I was to click through the layers, you can see we have nodes like cancer, drug mechanism. We have information about cancers and genes, people and the cancers that they have, and then doctors and their patients. So if I was to go back to the main data set here, I can, let's say, interact with the graph and say, let's search for Dr. Sally's patients. give that 1 second to load as the LLM or the AI powered search kind of understands what we want. And now I can zoom in here and we can see Dr. Sally, which is what I searched for, and her three patients, Monica, Mary, and Amanda. But let's say I want something more specific. Let's say I want Dr. Sally's patients and their cancers. Give that one more second to kind of process. And now we can see Dr. Sally once again, her three patients, but now we can see the cancers that they're associated with. So in this case, breast cancer and lung cancer, respectively. And let's say I wanted to pull some more information. I can do something along the lines of lung cancer info. And again, if I give this one more second to process, it'll pull up relevant information about the lung cancer. So if I come down here, we can see information about the genes that are associated, or maybe even like the targeting mutations, target drug, so on and so forth. So I can go back to the main data set there. And let's say instead of kind of drilling down into the doctors, their patients, and their cancer, let's say I know the information from what I'm trying to find is already on this graph, but I'm having trouble looking for it. What I can then do is pull up the graph details window right here. And let's say I'm trying to find breast cancer. I can type that in super easily. And then it'll highlight on the graph here with the graph details window. And let's say I want to find the associated mutations with breast cancer. What I could do is then open one of the tracing tools, click the node, and it will then dim every other node on the graph and highlight the associated nodes. And then what I can do is interact with one of the pop-ups. So let's say I open up this node here, and we can see an example of one of the custom interactive pop-ups that we've curated for this targeted mutation node, where in this case, it could pull up sort of relevant information. So maybe let's say it's pulling up a geographical map of upstate New York. And this is, again, just to kind of demonstrate the limitless potential that we offer with these custom pop-ups, where you can really integrate any sort of custom view that you deem necessary for any one of the nodes. But with that being said, this is a very brief demo of kind of EOS and its system and how you can interact with it. So we can then move on over to the application of EOS, and we truly just see EOS being applicable to many different fields. And if you want a better breakdown of EOS and what kind of fields we think it's applicable for, feel free to visit the project page by scanning the QR code on the right side there. But to kind of go into two of them, we see EOS being applicable for healthcare and tasks such as administration, clinical operations, trial research, and research and development. Whereas for cybersecurity and IT, we see it being applicable for things like showing system status, maybe showing security alerts, showing the entire landscape of servers, applications, things like that. And then to wrap up, for future enhancements, we have a lot of interesting features coming in the pipeline, such as no-code scripting, search suggestions and autocomplete with the generative AI model, creating and loading multiple environments at once, environment sharing, companion apps for automatic loading and exporting of data from EOS, and designing more curated pop-ups. Well, before we wrap up our kind of presentation today, I first wanted to highlight the team of EOS and the group that we're a part of. So if you want to learn more information about the Technology and Innovation Group, feel free to scan the QR code here. But as far as the project breakdown goes, I worked on it along with Scott Peony, as Eric kind of mentioned before. Other than that, that was EOS.
Thank you. Yeah, so EOS, as you can see, is pretty wide ranging, and you can do almost anything with it. And I think it's applicable to many industries beyond what we're showing here. Thank you to the lead Canadian for the presentation. So we can go into a couple questions. We're sort of hitting up against the time that we usually do here, but we'll try for a few. So the first one is you publish having over 100 interfaces. Is EOS connected to all of them?
So in this case, EOS is, and the benefit of EOS is that because of the server-side syncing, what we're actually able to offer is automatic kind of publishing and automatic syncing of these interfaces. So with connection into some servers and databases, we're actually able to populate the graph automatically. Every interface that the script is able to display, it'll pull into EOS. And for things like databases or database tables, we're automatically able to generate or grab those schemas and display it as well, all without any user interaction other than at the initial setup.
Next, how long do you think it would take to load a new system's patient data in?
Truly, as long as, mind you, with some assistance from the originating systems, maybe maintainers or what have you, I honestly think it could be done within a day. The data format for EOS is very simplistic by design to make it super easy to import data. And that's kind of why in the future we're looking towards creating automated import and export tools, because then we can allow you to connect existing databases and have the system be entirely automated. Currently, it's not, but we still expect it to be less than a day to integrate all this data within EOS.
Awesome. And I think we usually do three, although we'll be a few minutes over. It's okay. So can any type of data be loaded, not just healthcare and servers?
Yep. So the benefit and the main design of EOS from the get-go was for it to be extensible and just open. So you can load whatever type of data you want into EOS. And as far as the custom pop-ups go, you can design those and those can be kind of inserted into any of the nodes. But for the more curated pop-ups, that is something that would need to be designed ahead of time, but they're super simple to make. And with our future work of adding a no-code solution, we can even allow users to kind of choose what pop-ups appear or custom data elements should they want to upload them.
Awesome. Okay, and so with that, we'll close it out here. Webinar number 5, we'll announce sometime in the near future for October. But otherwise, have a great day.